The ocean doesn't give up its secrets easily. Its surface may be calm, but the deep hides countless tragedies, many of them silent and unsolved. Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Dailydose, like, and share this video. For families across America, World War II left behind more than just memories, it left mysteries. Among them, 52 U.S. submarines vanished into the depths, taking with them thousands of brave sailors whose final moments remained unknown for decades. Their names engraved on memorials, their stories left incomplete, until one man decided that wasn't good enough. Tim Taylor didn't grow up dreaming of fame or fortune. He dreamt of discovery, of righting forgotten wrong. And as a professional ocean explorer, he set out on a mission unlike any other to locate the lost submarines of World War II. Not for glory, not for headlines, but for truth. For the families who still waited, decades later, to understand what had really happened in those final moments beneath the waves. In 2010, Taylor and his team found their first wreck. It was a breakthrough, one submarine recovered, a name restored, a chapter closed. But one mystery continued to haunt him: the disappearance of the USS Grayback. A legendary vessel, one of the Navy's most successful submarines, had simply vanished in 1944 without a trace, without a goodbye. The Grayback was no ordinary sub. Launched from Pearl Harbor near the end of 1941, she was a force to be reckoned with. Her job was clear: sink enemy ships, disrupt freight, and disable opposing subs. And she did exactly that. Across 10 wartime patrols, the Grayback struck down over 14 ships, amounting to more than 63,000 tons of enemy cargo. She was fearless, efficient, deadly. But she was also compassionate. In January of 1943, after a U.S. B-26 bomber crashed into the ocean, it was the Grayback that surfaced through enemy-infested waters to rescue 6 surviving crew members. For the men aboard, it was more than duty, it was brotherhood, loyalty, and courage under fire. After a successful 9th patrol, the Grayback returned to base for rest and rearmament. On the 28th of January, 1944, she departed once more for her 10th and what would become her final mission. In the weeks that followed, she struck 2 additional enemy ships. She was running low on torpedoes and had orders to return home. But on the 27th of February, 1944, the last transmission from her crew reported a successful strike on a Japanese naval transport vessel. And then, silence. March came and went. The Grayback did not return. By the 30th of March, she was officially declared lost. The Japanese military, in their classified wartime records, noted that a submarine had been spotted on the surface in the East China Sea on the 27th of February. A Japanese bomber attacked. An explosion. The submarine disappeared below the surface. Air bubbles and an oil slick marked her grave. Anti-submarine ships dropped depth charges, just to be sure. There were no survivors. The United States never saw those documents. For 75 years, the Grayback's fate remained uncertain, its final resting place unknown. The Navy had only rough coordinates and speculation. Families were left with nothing but a date and a presumption. Closure never came. Until Tim Taylor. Armed with decades of diving experience and a relentless passion for discovery, Taylor launched a project unlike any other, the Lost 52 Project. Its mission was simple, but daunting: find and document the 52 American submarines lost during WWII. Not just to locate them, but to give peace to the families who had waited a lifetime. Taylor and his company, Tiburon Subsea, specialized in underwater robotics and autonomous vehicles. Using sonar scanning and deep-sea drones, they began mapping the ocean floor, 1 square mile at a time. It was costly, it was slow, and it was dangerous. But Taylor believed in the mission. While researching the Grayback, his team stumbled upon a clue that had gone unnoticed for decades. A wartime Japanese report held the coordinates of the strike, but when compared to the U.S. Navy's records, something didn't add up. The location was off by 1 digit. A single numerical error had sent every previous search 100 miles in the wrong direction. Correcting the coordinates, Taylor's team sailed to a new location near Okinawa, Japan, in June 2019. The ocean was vast. Their window was small. They deployed sonar drones and scanned the seabed, facing setback after setback: equipment failures, technical glitches, even refrigeration breakdowns aboard the ship. On the brink of turning back, something unexpected happened. As the drone swept across the ocean floor, its camera passed over a long, dark shadow. It panned upward from the submarine's bow to the bridge. There, encrusted in coral and rust, was a plaque, a name. USS Grayback. The sight of the plaque stunned the entire crew into silence. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. Cameras captured the grainy yet unmistakable letters: USS Grayback. After 75 years beneath the waves, one of the Navy's most decorated submarines had finally been found. But finding the wreck was just the beginning. Taylor and his team knew that they had a responsibility not just to science or to history, but to the families who had spent decades wondering, hoping, and mourning. Before the news was shared with the world, every family connected to the Grayback's crew was contacted privately. Each was offered a chance to see the footage, to learn where their loved ones now rested, and to finally close a chapter that had remained open far too long. The Navy confirmed the discovery after reviewing the footage and the 4D scans that Taylor's team had created. These scans revealed the hauntingly preserved state of the submarine, buried in the silence of the East China Sea. Though the hull had been damaged, the structure was largely intact, a solemn, underwater tomb that had held its crew in place for nearly 8 decades. Aboard the Grayback had been 80 American sailors, all presumed dead, all now accounted for. For Kathy Taylor, no relation to Tim, the discovery was deeply personal. Her uncle, John Patrick King, had served on the Grayback. As a child, Kathy had grown up hearing stories about him, feeling the void his loss had left in the family. "I committed from the very beginning as a little girl that I was going to find him," she said, her voice trembling through tears, "or at the very least keep his memory alive." Now, she had something tangible, a place, a truth, and for the first time in her life, she could grieve with certainty. "This is closure," Tim Taylor said. "This is about family. It's about remembrance. It's about correcting the historical record not just in the textbooks, but in the hearts of the people left behind." Of the 52 submarines the U.S. lost during World War II, the Grayback had been one of the most significant. Its loss had devastated the Navy not only for its strategic value, but for the heroism of its crew. In total, those 52 submarines carried 3,505 souls. Until now, their final chapters had remained unwritten. Through the Lost 52 project, Tim Taylor's team had already discovered 5 of those submarines, each one bringing with it a story of courage, sacrifice, and ultimately, peace. The project wasn't funded by governments or driven by politics. It was powered by resolve, by a sense of duty to those who had no chance to return home on their own. Taylor described the feeling as bittersweet. "When we find a wreck, we're not just celebrating a discovery. We're remembering lives. We're bringing light to a place that's been in darkness for generations." The technology used advanced sonar mapping, autonomous underwater vehicles, 4D modeling was cutting edge. But what truly drove the mission was something far older: human connection, the desire to honor, the need to remember. Today, the USS Grayback lies silently on the ocean floor, but its story is no longer lost. It is studied, respected, and above all, remembered. And the work continues. Taylor's team still combs the oceans, hunting for the remaining missing submarine SCH-1, a chapter waiting to be recovered. Each one carrying stories, families, names that deserve to be spoken aloud again. Because history is not just dates and maps, it's lives, it's sacrifices. And sometimes, it's about one person refusing to let silence be the final word. The sea may keep its secrets, but it cannot keep them forever.